Freeform dreadlocks. You want them, but you don't know how to get them. Well, you don't have to wait anymore. I'm gonna show you how to get them today. Cam Newton, Sean Carter, Jay-Z, The Weeknd, like 5 or 6 years ago, and me that one time, and then I combed them out. But there is a better and faster way to creating this hairstyle, and it's using this. The dreadlock sponge. Everyone has a love-hate relationship with this dreadlock product. But how do you use this in order to make dreadlocks that look freeform? So I'm gonna show you how to take this, use it in order to create freeform dreadlocks. First, let's talk about how this product actually works. This product in particular has 2 different sides. It has an A carton side with holes in it, and it also just has a flat side with holes in it. But why use this rather than a towel or just a regular sponge or any other method that requires you to do this on your head? The reason is because these holes allow hair to get trapped inside, and as you're going clockwise or counterclockwise, it allows the hair to spiral up, and that is what creates your sections. Now, talking about these holes right here and how far they are divided apart, that's how separated your sections are gonna be when using this side. But when it comes to this side, it is a little bit different. You have more holes, they are smaller holes, and you also have this egg carton effect. So what is this side mostly for? It is for creating smaller sections. So say you're using this side and it's not quite working for you, then switch to this side because it's gonna create your sections a little bit larger. The reason your hair doesn't wanna create smaller sections is most likely because your curl pattern isn't as tight and doesn't want to move in that direction. But why does this side have holes and these little divots? These little indentions will cause the hair to go inside of there as well as into the holes. And you can see that there's so much more texture on this side, which will create more texture on the hair versus this side. But I do recommend using this side if you are using it to create dreadlocks. This is more for just creating a hairstyle to where it's like a nappy look. Just to show you how simple using this tool is, you literally just choose a direction and lightly go in that direction on the hair. You want to start out lightly, and as you're feeling the sections created, you can press a little harder. But you press lightly to initiate the twists at the tips, and then as you press harder, it works its way down to the roots. As I mentioned before, this method works best on 2 inches of hair or even 4 inches of hair, and anything in between. And don't sweat it. If you don't see results after the first time using it, it's okay, because you can use this tool as much and as often as you would like. And the whole goal is to get your hair to look the way that you want it to. So you can keep using this tool until your locks are developed just the way you want them. But how do you take this, use it, and create freeform dreadlocks? The great thing about this dreadlock tool is it doesn't create mature dreadlocks. So when you use it, it essentially is creating starter locks, meaning that if you continue to use this, it's not gonna fully mature your hair to look exactly the way mine is, which my hair obviously isn't freeform, which is actually a great thing if you wanna use this in order to get freeform lock. Now, just a slight disclaimer, these are semi-freeform considering that you are helping it along the way. Freeform just means that you allow the hair to lock up on its own, and the only thing you do to it is wash it. But semi-freeform means that you start out with the method and then eventually allow it to lock up on its own, or you allow it to lock up on its own and then you start maintaining it. So in order to use this to create the freeform locks, you want to use this going in a clockwise or counterclockwise motion. Just keep in mind, when you're using it, go in that direction around the entire head. If you are going clockwise and you move to this side and start going counterclockwise, you're going to be undoing that hair that you already did. So remember, if you're doing it, you're gonna be moving forward with this. That means that you can't go this way. You have to go backwards, and it feels uncomfortable. Just keep in mind that's how you're gonna have to do it. A hack to make this tool work even better is figure out which direction your curls actually go in and use this tool in that direction. So if your curls spiral out of your head in a counterclockwise direction, then go counterclockwise with the sponge. If they spiral out clockwise, then use the sponge in a clockwise motion. And the way you figure that out is grab one of the curls that you have, elongate it, find the tip of it, and follow it down to the scalp. If it's going counterclockwise, then that's the direction of your curl. If it's going counterclockwise, that's the direction of your curl. You don't have to do this step, but it's going to speed up the process when it comes to using the sponge. So rule number 1 when it comes to using the sponge, your hair has to be between 2 to 4 inches. Anything longer doesn't really work as well, and anything shorter doesn't really catch. So if you get into that 2 to 4 inch sweet spot, this tool is gonna work perfect for you. Now let's get real. What hair type is best for a sponge? I know you keep hearing me say that curls will go into these holes and actually create better spirals, which will create the sections. So it is best if your hair is curly in order to use this tool. So anywhere from a 3A all the way to a 4C. I've heard people say that they use the dreadlock sponge on straight hair. And of course you can do it, but it's not gonna be as effective because you don't have curls, which this is essentially a curl enhancer. It just combines the curls into sections using these holes. So for everyone out there who has straight hair, don't feel discouraged. You can use other methods in order to get locks, and I just would steer you clear of this if you want your hair to look more maintained. But now comes the freeform part. So when using this tool, you want to use it for about a month to maybe even 2 months in order to create those sections. When you first use it, you'll feel the sections initially being created. And as time progresses of you using this tool, making sure that you're going in the same direction every single time, those sections are going to become more and more prominent. Keep in mind that if your hair is closer to the 2-inch mark, it's going to want to create sections quicker because that's really the best length. And if your hair is closer to 4 inches, maybe even more than 4 inches, it's going to take a little bit longer because the hair has to work its way into these holes in order to get the sections all the way down to the scalp. Now, with you wanting freeforms, you don't have to necessarily get the section all the way down to the scalp. It's really based upon what you want your hair to look like. And all the sponge does is really enhance those curls and really put them into a section. So when using the sponge, if you want more sections, use the more textured side. And if you want less sections and thicker dreadlocks, then use this side. Now, after you chose what side you want, use it, going in the right direction. And then once you have your hair at the point of where you like it the best, then just leave it. And literally just like that, you just leave it and allow it to lock up over time. That's how you create freeform dreadlocks using a sponge. And let me rephrase, it's semi-freeform. But I feel like that word freeform has crept more and more and more of the look of the actual dreadlocks versus the method. So yeah, you can get freeform looking locks using this dreadlock sponge. Speaking of this sponge, DREADLOCKS.com is working towards getting their own sponge. This is what the sponge is gonna look like, just like this. And I've personally used this sponge and it works very well. And we really wanna have the best sponge in the market. So keep your eyes peeled for when we actually fully release this. I know doing the sponge rub method was how I initially started my first set of locks, and that was my honestly favorite set of locks, even though these are my favorite. But it's just cool to look back and just know that that was the first way I ever started my locks. But what better way to appreciate that than to actually release a product of how I started my first set of locks. And speaking of DREADLOCKS.com, we have the DREADLOCKS locking gel coming back in stock, and we are always in stock of the DREADLOCKS crochet hook and the locking bundle. Those are always on repeat. But you guys have to be quick once we release the locking gel, and especially when we release this tool as well, because they sell so quickly. But when you see that locking gel back in stock, which I'll announce it here, be sure to get it quick because last time I didn't even announce it and it sold out so quickly. So you guys know what you need to do. If you need dreadlock products like the crochet hook, the interlock tool, or even locking gel, click the link down below to go to DREADLOCKS.com to get the dreadlock products that you need to make your dreadlocks.